Hello viewers, welcome to MBTV Weekly Property Roundup. We bring to you top 5 developments from Indian real estate space which is going to have a lasting impact on you as a consumer. I am Prasun Kumar, Marketing Head of Magicbricks, and with me is Jayashree Kurup, Senior Real Estate Journalist and Editor-in-Chief of MBTV. Jayashree, welcome again.
Thanks, Prasun.
And what an election it has been.
I know, what an exhilarating 2 days it has been. The thing is that we have seen that this government, the Modi government in its first term, has done a lot of groundwork as far as housing goes. Whether it is to make cities livable as far as smart cities go, whether it is to make housing on the ground affordable, and to cool the entire housing market so that the end user gets to buy a house. I think they've done many things right. If they keep on with this, we know that this is going to be a good term. 2022 target, and now they get to execute it. That's a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's hope for the best for the industry. Yeah. So coming back to the top 5 news that made headlines this week, one was again coming back to JP and the ongoing challenges with the project. Now lenders have started negotiating with on NBCC's bid as per NCLAT order. Now, is it looking like it's going towards some sort of a solution now?
I think it can go to a solution. Now, there are many a slip between the cup and the lip, but what has actually happened is that the buyers are in no mood to relent, and because of the buyer pressure, and we've had a large number of shows with buyers on our property shows and our live shows, what we've seen is that the buyers say, give us a solution and we'll abide by it, but they're not willing to give ground to anybody else, and actually today it's the buyer in the driver's seat. So because of the buyer pressure, NBCC's bid has been taken on. Now the lenders want some elements diluted or not, the NBCC bid will be put to vote. This is what the NCLAT has said. So we will wait for that, and I think we should be moving towards a resolution. If and when JP moves to resolution, it is a precedent that every other NCLAT order will hold, and therefore it's a very, very significant one, which is why we're covering it in so much detail.
Yeah. And I believe if JP issue gets resolved, it will also work as a template for a lot of other stuck projects, and you can then move towards.
It will be the template and precedent for every other such stuck project.
Right, absolutely. Great. And talking about government and continuance of policy, one of the things that Modi government had tried to do in its first term was the Land Pooling Act, and there was a lot of debate around it and became a very heated issue. Now, why I say this is because the second news that I have came from Rajasthan, where Urban Development and Housing Department is seeking suggestions and advices on implementation of Land Pooling Act. We all know land is important, right? But it has been mired in so many controversies and challenges. The Land Pooling Act, the way it is, do you see that as a solution, and what will be the impact there?
There is no one land pooling act. Right. If you look at what in the private sector, the first land pooling in India, so to speak, was done by Satish Magar and his family in Magarpatta, what is one of today a very bustling city, where farmers voluntarily brought their land forward, they pooled it, they became co-owners and benefited from the benefits of development. And it has been one of the most successful models in India. They've repeated that again in Nanded city, which means that it was not a one-off. It can be replicated. Then I went and covered the land pooling that happened in Andhra Pradesh, where Chandrababu Naidu got his team to talk to the farmers, figure out what the farmers want, and adjust it to the farmers' requirements, and that was farmer land. Now, in Delhi, there is a rather messy land pooling that is there, where the DDA suddenly said, I'm not going to do anything. The biggest land owner will do it. Again, it will be open to a lot of controversies, and I don't see the Delhi Land Pooling Act taking it anywhere. By only a very small fraction of the land has so far been pooled, though it's been open for about 2 to 3 months. Sure. Now, what Rajasthan is doing, and Rajasthan has a history of governance, especially with real estate and land. So I'm hoping that what Rajasthan comes out with will be well thought out, well studied, and take the best of everybody and implement it on the ground. Land pooling has to be the way forward, and like we talked about JP being a landmark and a precedent, so can the first successful land pooling can be a precedent for all others.
And how important it is.
And how important it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Now, coming back to normal challenges that the industry has been facing. In Pune, the Metropolitan Regional Development Authority is sending over 2,000 notices for illegal construction. Now, illegal construction has been a big issue, especially in and around cities.
Yes.
Right? Is there a way forward solution? There any model that has worked anywhere in the world which could be kind of adapted here in India? Anything?
India has the best laws. And unfortunately, we don't believe in enforcement. There is so much corruption as far as land goes and property goes that a lot of people take money and look the other way when the construction is coming up. Then comes along a bright young officer who is honest and starts clearing it up. Now we can see there are success stories. Thane was a clear success story. A city that was growing clearly as a suburban extension of Mumbai, but the Thane Municipal Commissioner, he wielded the stick, he gave the carrot, and he made sure that everybody goes along with him. They were terrified of him, but the fact is that there was a ground zero that was created from which a new benchmark could be raised. And Thane has only grown. So it's not impossible. Thane is a case study in how it can be done. And what PMC is doing, I think, is the right way if they can continue enforcing. Unfortunately, there's so much money that is passed that passes hands that all kind of illegal constructions happen because somebody takes money and allows it to happen.
Okay. So, after a developer gets a occupancy certificate, the normal expectation of a consumer or a buyer is that he or she gets the flat or the property that they have invested in. But it was found that was not the case, where builders were delaying the transfer of society even after OC was given. Now Bombay High Court has stepped in and tried to set that right, saying you cannot delay that. Why do we keep facing these issues? Are the laws not very clearly written as to what should happen, and why should this delay happen?
Once you get OC, if I'm a buyer and I've paid my money, I should get my possession of my apartment. But between the first payment and the last getting that OC, there are so many. It's a very tedious process where some laws are not met, some consumers delay, some developers delay. They say, now I've given you extra land, consumer goes into arbitration. And what happens is that process is very stretched out and very messy. And today what the High Court has said is, if you've got your OC, you better give that house to the consumer. So I think the consumer has been on the receiving end of the stick for a long, long time. And I think the courts are very sympathetic to consumers. Right. This is a good time. If you have a problem, this is a good time to go back to the courts, because the courts don't want you to struggle. And if we can do a cleanup, and with a new government in place, the same government which coming back, we feel that this is a good time where the courts are sympathetic, governments are sympathetic, and the legal system and the laws are getting drafted. So I think this is a good time to clean up.
But it's very clear that you need some sort of an arbitrage in between, right? Where consumers can go to and seek immediate redressal, because you're saying the problem has been the process has been very lengthy, and therefore it gets stuck, right? Could RERA be one?
RERA should be. It's the logical next step, but even SEBI, when it came, it took a while to settle down. And RERA is such a complex act, and only 2 years in the making. And the ground is so messy, so there is so much to be cleared up. But I think RERA should be the logical next step.
Sure, that's good. And in Gurugram now, DTCP has decided to cancel occupancy certificate of 38 residential properties over violation of norms, right? So what is this really all about, and how can this really be checked, in advance?
See, Prasun, you see that commercial property is very expensive in that area. Right. So, for small businesses, we don't have enough small business space, and therefore it moves into the residential space and starts conducting those activities. Clearly, it's not the norm, and there are laws against it. Again, it comes to enforcement. While this was happening, nobody has enforced, and now that it's all running, that's when the DTCP it's well within its rights to do this. So while we say that the consumers should be protected, but if the consumer violates the law, the consumer also has to bear the brunt of it. Sure. So I think the fact that laws are being enforced is positive, and if India can enforce its laws, urban India can enforce its laws, our laws are good. It's just that there are too many violations on both sides.
Right, and it's also therefore an opportunity to create, such spaces for small businesses who find it difficult, therefore, to get into a typical commercial hub.
You see, what's happened is these are very old townships, built in the 1980s. The requirements then were not what they are today. And in India,
They were
we
not
don't.
startup townships back then.
That's right, and we don't have redevelopment norms. What was sanctioned in the 1980s, in 2019 and 20, it may not be the best, but these are prime spaces, right? And that's why these violations happen.
So this is it for this week. We'll come back again next week with top 5 developments from Indian real estate space for that week. Till then, keep watching MBTV.
Thank you and have a great week.
Please subscribe to Magicbricks on YouTube and click on the bell icon to get more videos.